Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That is the situation most of us find ourselves in as women. Night fell gradually, and Kambili couldn't wait to leave the house. She neatly arranged a few of her clothes, toiletries, and other properties into a small box. She then arranged a few of Kaima's clothes into a smaller box. With a pair of thick dark sunglasses thrown over her eyes, she picked up a sleepy little Kaima from her bed. She quickly walked out of the house towards the car. She carefully tucked Kaima in the passenger seat of the car before calling out to Hassan, the gateman, to open up the main gate. Hassan instantly did this with no questions asked. He also had no curiosity in him. Kambili wearing dark sunglasses at that time of the night was more than enough clue as to what was going on. It wasn't the first time it was happening, and each time it happened, Kambili always waited for her husband Ifediora to go on a drinking spree with his friends or a rendezvous with one of his numerous side chicks before leaving the house. She never left in his presence because he never would have allowed her. Mma was about to have dinner when she heard a knock at the door. Onyinye! Onyinye! She called out repeatedly, but there was no response. That one must have gone to sleep. I have never seen where a young girl sleeps earlier than an elderly woman, she sneered and reluctantly got up from her dining table, limping with every step she took. She opened the door and found her daughter Kambili holding her granddaughter Kaima in one hand and her small boxes in another. Mwam, she said with no surprise in her voice. The dark sunglasses and the boxes held by Kambili already explained the whole situation to her. She lifted up her granddaughter and held her close to her bosom, and then allowed Kambili into the house. After ushering them to a seat, she went into the inner chamber. After a while, she came out followed by Onyinye, her teenage house help, who was rubbing her eyes sleepily. I am taking you to the hospital first thing tomorrow morning for a pregnancy test because I don't understand your slothful attitude these days. Always sleeping like someone that has been charmed or something. Come on, go and get some food and water for my daughter and granddaughter. Umma nagged. Mama, please take it easy on her, Kambili said as she took off her sunglasses, revealing her left black eyes. But seriously, you may need to help me get a doctor or nurse for her. I am really suspecting this girl. She wasn't this lazy when she first came here. When you return home, you and your husband should please contact that your family doctor. Return home? No, Mama, I don't plan to return. I came to stay, Kambili cut her short. Stay? For 2 weeks or how long? You know that no matter how long you stay here, you will still return to your husband's house, Mma said. I won't go back, Mama. I can't continue to endure. I have suffered enough violence and humiliation from Ifediora, Kambili insisted. Mma stared at her daughter for a while and then shook her head slowly. So, because of little slaps every now and then, you want to leave your home, eh? You want to become one of those women who don't stay with their husbands till the end. Do you want to turn yourself to a laughingstock? What do you intend to tell this little girl when she grows up? How do you explain the reason for her growing up without a father? Mma asked, pointing at Kaima. Mama, I will tell her the truth. She will come to acknowledge the hard truth that her father is a beast. Beast. You really are still a child though, you this girl. Do you realize the mockery and discrimination Kaima will receive when she grows up in a society like our own? Do you want to ruin the life of this child? Listen, Mom, Ifediora has not even done half of all the things your late father did to me. What didn't I endure, eh? I endured every and anything under her hand now. Ima now, you self, you know. Mma said, are you saying I should stay and continue to endure all the beating, bullying, infidelity, gaslighting and manipulation Ifedera brings my way? Kambili asked with her eyes wide open. You are not the first woman to have a husband like Ifedera, and you will not be the last. There are many women who will sell their souls to occupy the position you now occupy in his life. If you doubt me, Ngwanu, move out. Move out and see if another woman will not move into his house with speed. Ifedera is not a terrible person, no. Your father literally showed me hers, Mma said with a tone of bravery. It was like she was expecting Kambili to hype her or praise her for all she went through. Onyinye emerged from the kitchen with a tray of food in her hands, which she placed before Kambili and Kaima. Mma placed Kaima on her laps and proceeded to feed her. You need to stop thinking of yourself, oh. Think of this girl, don't just think of yourself alone. She continued, do you even have all it takes to raise Kaima alone? There was nothing your late father didn't do to me, oh. Yet I stayed for the sake of you and your siblings. He literally turned me to his footmat and punching bag every day. There were days he locked me up after a good beating with no food or water. There were days he locked foodstuffs away in the house just to make sure that I starved. What didn't I endure? Public humiliation? Him bringing in different strange ladies and sleeping with them on our matrimonial bed in my presence. Him not even performing his nightly duties on me. Him throwing curses, insults at me and my parents at the slightest provocation. I will never forget the day he beat the hell out of me until I lost consciousness. I was hospitalized for nearly a month. You self remembered now. You were not so small back then. My waist and my right leg were literally damaged. It is the reason I am still limping till this day. I am sure you remember all of that thing now. You remember? Or is it the day he locked me outside in the dark rain because I served him cold soup? It was a dark rainy night, yet Ahanna still locked me outside. I had to run to our next door neighbor for shelter. My child, I never complained for one day. I stayed and endured all the pains and agony. I stayed because I wanted to give you and your siblings a good future. Those who always endure to the end, they always emerge as the winner. They come out as the winner at the end of the day. Where is your father today? Rotting away in his grave, while I am still alive and here, enjoying the fruit of my labor. He might have broken all my bones though, but he never broke my spirit for one day. Please, my child, before you do anything, think of your daughter. Think of the kind of future you want to give her. Oh, pick on one. Kambili sighed deeply. She remained silent all through the night. She barely touched her food, but ensured that Kaima had her fill before taking her to bed. Kambili's eyes didn't shut for a bit all through the night. She kept on pondering on all her mother had said that night, and by daylight, her mind was fully made up. She got up from bed, gave Kaima a quick bath before showering herself. She then thanked her mother and left to her with her belongings. On getting to her husband's house, she realized he was not yet back. This wasn't strange to her. There were times when he spent days and even weeks away from home after every fight. Kambili decided that it was now or never. She went into her room, gathered all of her belongings and that of Kaima, and arranged them in several boxes. She then dragged the boxes one at a time into the living room, stood at the front porch for a while, deliberating on whether to take the car with her or not. The car was given to her by Ifedera, and as such was still his property. At last, she sat down, booked a ride from her phone, and then called out to Hassan. He came in. She looked straight into his eyes and said, Please put these luggages in the trunk of the car that will be parked outside this compound anytime soon. Again, without a word, Hassan collected the bags from her and took them all outside. As soon as he was gone, Kambili brought out a small diary from her handbag and started to scribble on it. Kaima, my dearest daughter, I hope by the time you find this diary, you would have been mature enough to understand what I decided to do for you. I know as you grow up, you will wonder why your father suddenly stopped being a part of your life. You might even blame me and accuse me of being the reason why there is no father figure in your life. I really hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me and understand why I'm doing this. I have decided to leave so you can grow up with the idea of a decent environment as a home, a place where there is no violence or lack of love. I am leaving so you don't grow up with the mentality that women are meant to be punching bags or accept all forms of abuse, torture, and inhumane treatment from their husbands, all in the name of being subservient. This is a mentality that was passed on to my mother, your grandmother, and she's trying to pass it down to me. I am never going to pass this mentality down to you, so I'm leaving. I am leaving so I can live for you. My soul will never be at peace if I end up dying by your father's hands, leaving you motherless in this cold and cruel world. Forgive me, my daughter. I know life as a single mother will come with all its hurdles, but I'm ready to move heaven and earth for you. I love you, my precious daughter. Kambili decided to choose herself, decided to choose her daughter over everyone and everything else. And why not? After all, damned if you do, damned if you don't.